Board meeting for August 13th, 2018. Agenda item 2 is roll call.
Jonathan Groh,
Here.
David Roan,
Here.
David Downs,
Here.
Ernesto Ruiz Gutierrez, Lauren Mahalov,
Here.
Patricia Whitrock,
Here.
Sean Olson, Jason Branch,
Here.
Michael Flaherty Wilcox.
Here.
Thank you. Agenda item 3 is adopt the agenda of August 13th, 2018 Park Board. So we can review it, and if there's any additions that we need, make those as such. If it looks good, I can entertain a motion to approve or adopt the agenda, excuse me.
I move to adopt.
A move to adopt the agenda by Commissioner Downs,
Seconded.
seconded by Commissioner Mihailov. All in favor of adopting the agenda as presented, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. 4 is visitor presentation. I see a visitor, but is that visitor a agenda item later?
Yes.
All right. Seeing no other visitors, we will officially,
Curling guru, come on.
curling group. Yes. We'll officially close visitor presentation, which brings us to agenda 5, approve the minutes of the July 9th, 2018 Park Board meeting.
I've got a minor correction. You've left my name off the attendees list.
I do remember you being here, so.
I was, and I'm later in the minutes, so,
Yeah, there's video evidence.
yeah.
We can go back to the film.
Oh, anything but that, yeah.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move we approve the minutes.
I have a motion to approve the minutes of July 9th, 2018 by Commissioner Whitrock,
Second.
second by Flaherty Wilcox. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor to approve the minutes of the July 9th, 2018 Park Board meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Approve, nay. Brings us to 6, old business. 6A is Curling Night in America Curling Center Manager Jeff Isaacson. Now, as you're coming forth, I know you're a pro at this, but I remind you to make sure you state who you are, talk into the mic for all that great audience out there to hear you. No pressure now.
No pressure. This is intimidating. Jeff Isaacson, I work with the Parks and Rec Department at the Chaska Curling Center. I'm just going to give you a little update on what we're doing throughout the past few months and where we're going coming up here. So Curling Night in America will be August 27th through 29th. And a little bit about that event. It's a made-for-television curling event meant to promote the sport. So what they'll do is they'll have 9 featured games throughout Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, 3 per day. And they will tape those and they will get aired on NBC Sports Network throughout the fall. So I think it was a Friday night in the past, so each of those Friday nights gets a new featured game. So what they're gonna have is men's, women's, and mixed doubles competition. And we're gonna have the US Olympic teams for Team USA. And part of the event is sponsored by the World Curling Federation, so they try to have different regions of the world represented. So they have the Asian countries, Japan, China, and they also like to have a Europe region. You know, it's been Scotland, I think, the past couple of years, so this year it's going to be Italy. So, and kind of surprised by that, but Italy has some good curlers. I've played against a few of those, so that's going to be fun to see them. So we're going to have bleachers out on sheet 1. We're going to try to have 300 people in the stands for that event. So right now, our evening draws are filling quite nice. We have tickets open for 250 for sale, and they have sold out. We're holding some tickets back for sponsors and some for the athlete families. So the morning and afternoon draws are obviously going to be a little more difficult to fill, so we're working with the lodge, the AOAs, to try to get some bus trips down there. Some smaller groups, we've got a couple groups of 14 AOAs signed up already, so Joan's working hard on that. And I've reached out to some of the schools, and we're going to continue to do that to try to get some youth groups, some sports teams in to experience curling. So it's going really well so far. Another event coming up, I have on here the U18s. So last year, like this is a new event for curling. It was hosted in Bemidji last year, and the event came to be because juniors in curling is 20 or 21 and under. And what we were finding is high school students were kind of getting beat up by some of the 20, 21-year-olds. So it was an event created to, give them something where they can achieve and have some success. So it's a newer event, I think 2 or 3 years only. It's been in existence, so I put a bid on this. I'm just really excited about the event, get youth involved with curling. Last year in Bemidji, it saw 24 teams participate, 12 boys teams, 12 girls teams. So it just brings a lot of people into the city as well. So teams like this will travel with family members. So I think it'll be an exciting event. And one of the things we're looking forward to is growing our junior program. It takes a new curling club a long time to, build that up, get those juniors involved with the game and keep them curling. So I think we've done really well. Last season, we had about 50 kids on a consistent basis show up for a Saturday junior program. So I think having an event like this will give them something to really, look up to these curlers and something to strive for. So that'll be a fun one coming up in March. Another thing on the radar, we've been working with U.S. Curling, talks to become the training site for their high-performance program. So we've been in discussion for several months right now. We're getting close to reaching an agreement. I think it shows a lot about our facility, just the professionalism, the quality of the building, and the staff, what they put in, great ice conditions, on them wanting to come here. So that was the big driving force. They wanted their athletes to play on quality ice, and we can offer that. Part of what comes along with that is hosting different events. Being that training site, they'd like you to host a couple events a year. So we're already doing that, with Curling Night in America, the U18s. It's just things like that. And they're good for the community as well. So I think all of that is good. What it would mean for us is those high-performance athletes would be looking for us for high-quality training ice. We'd host some of their camps. Their camps are generally held prior to the big season getting off, which is October. So August, September, when we have our generally slow ice times on the weekends, would now be not all the ice, but we'd have good activity going on the ice, and I think that's good for the Crooked Pine. It's good for our curlers to see that level of curling too. So I think a lot of good can come from it as being the host site, and we always put our membership first. We talked a lot about, will this have a negative impact on our membership, because we are a quite busy facility, but I think we can find a really nice balance in allowing ice time for the membership and for the training site. So that's something we're working on, so hopefully we come to an agreement soon on that. Just a little bit of updates on leagues and memberships. So next week is going to start a really big league registration for our winter season. Just recapping 2017-2018, we scheduled 1,744 games during that winter season, 118 playoff games, 342 spring league games, and we're currently in the 234 summer leagues. So there was a lot of curling going on. Current membership is at 1,324. And I just put this in there. We're expected to max out at 645 in year 2021. So we're doing okay. And just for a note, I think it's an interesting standard that curling clubs across the world use. It's kind of the benchmark. You have a successful curling club, a strong, healthy membership if you have 100 members per sheet of ice. So we're over double that, and most clubs don't come close to that. So I just put some 2017-2018 membership data from the Minnesota Curling Association. Just as some perspective, St. Paul for years what had the largest membership by far. They're at a little over 1,000. So they have an 8-sheet curling club. Duluth, around 500 memberships, 8-sheet clubs. So it's tough to get to that 100 members per sheet of ice. So something we're really proud of, starting from scratch, teaching the curlers and just having them come back year after year. So recapping the fire and ice bond spiel, part of the park board's mission was to get people into the downtown area. And so what I try to do with this particular bond spiel is hold some spots back for out-of-state teams. I think it creates a nice, different, unique bond spiel because people from outside of the curling center don't know that, if you don't click within a half a second, you're not going to get into the bond spiel. So it just provides people from out of state to come in and see what we offer. So this past year, we had a couple teams from Denver, Colorado. We had 2 teams from California join us, some Wisconsin teams, North Dakota, the state of Virginia, Missouri, and 1 team from Canada. So they really appreciate the opportunity to come curl here. And that bond spiel was hugely successful. I thought the Saturday night with the fireworks and the bands playing, it was everything we could have hoped for when we started that bond spiel. And then corporate curling events, if we're not busy enough, we have these corporate groups in during the day. So just year to date, this is January through August 13th, we've hosted 190 events, which brought in over 4,000 people to try curling, most for their first time. So it's been really busy and successful and fun year so far. So who's got some questions for me? You always do.
I think you and your staff are to be commended for doing a fabulous job, just an absolutely fabulous job.
Yeah, I think that's all I could say is great job. It's awesome.
Jeff, when you speak to the UA teams, does that UA stand for underage?
Under the age of 18, yep.
Okay. And you had, so 50 kids, those would have been 50 teenagers that would have been in for that.
Yep.
And then as far as the curling night in America, do you have to make any special arrangements for Beyonce and Jay-Z when they play?
That'd be special if they joined us. So.
Where are tickets for that on sale? Are they online?
Yes, you can either get them online or you can purchase them at the Curling Center office. And then we're going to have tickets. Once you do purchase them, they'll be able to be picked up next week, or else you can pick them up prior to the start of the game. So as part of that event, we're going to have street curling in the park, just as an opportunity for, families if they're coming into the game or using the park. It's a bigger street curling set, so you can try it out. It's a curling rock on wheels. Try to get it into the target. It's been used at many fairs, and I've heard good things about it. I haven't seen it set up, but we're looking forward to that. And then on Monday, we're going to go to the Mall of America with that same street curling set, and just to try to promote the event. So.
Awesome.
Cool. National training site, where do they currently have, as national training sites?
They've been in Blaine the past 4 years, so they're looking to get a new site for this next 4-year cycle leading into the next Olympics.
An additional site or in lieu of Blaine?
They did not renew their contract with Blaine. They are looking for a new site. They wanted to come to Chaska. A lot of the athletes, even though Blaine was the site, you're welcome to practice where you want, that we were finding they were coming here, especially prior to the Olympic trials, just to play on our ice. So, and that really prompted them to look at our site a little closer. So.
My daughter has recruited me to come to the 10 o'clock sessions for the 3 days, to try to help fill
That'll
the
be great.
bleachers, so we'll be there.
So, yeah, with that, the Curling Night in America, the training site, hopefully youth in the community really see it and get excited about curling. I'm hoping with U.S. Curling, that training site, it leads to opportunities in the summer for junior curling camps to get some of those athletes working with our Parks and Rec department to promote different Learn to Curl classes, just different opportunities for the youth. So some good things I think will come from that. Anything else?
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate the update. 6B is Lions Park Off-Leash Dog Area Update.
All right. Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. So as you can see on our agenda, we've got a lot of updates tonight on the several projects that are in motion. So to start off, the Lions Park Off-Leash Dog Area, I'm excited to be here tonight and announce, off the curtails of the City Council approving your long-term goal of a recommendation to have a dog park here in Chaska. So here we are. Now we actually get to go into the planning stages and the construction stages of it, which will be a fun venture over the next few months. So with that approval, we are actually off and running as we speak. So just to kind of give you an update as to where things are at, this afternoon, park maintenance crews were already out at the site and have taken down probably half of the boards in the existing hockey rink there that's going to be converted. So the remainder of that work should get done in the next couple of days. And then the plan there will be to aerate and add some additional seating and try to really get that turf good and strong prior to getting it open for the dog park. Additionally, this week the plan will be to get some electricians out to assess the lighting upgrades within the shelter building. The bridge that will be replaced has already been ordered. That'll probably take about 6 to 8 weeks to be delivered, and then coordination to get that installed will probably be in late October within the timeline of everything else going on. And then a lot of the furnishings that we've identified throughout the process are on order. So next up, we'll probably be taking a walk through that area and looking at some of the signage that we had identified in the process as well, and just kind of making sure where we're putting those signs and how we're going to affix them to the posts and the entry gates and things like that. So, so a lot of things are already happening, and some of it's still going to just depend on weather, contractor availability, things like that. But I'll just plan to continue to give updates on a monthly basis as we go. And I encourage you guys, when you're out and about, to drive over and take a look at it as well. And as far as approximate time, I'm hoping late October, early November-ish. If everything goes right, would be when we'd be looking at kind of that opening of the site. So any questions on the off-leash dog area?
When we talked about the plans last time, there was quite a buffer that was set up. And the question was, could the fencing on the main dog park be moved out? And the conversation at the time was, that'll be determined after the brush gets cleared out and all that stuff.
Yep.
Is that still a decision point, or have you pretty well laid out how big this thing is and where all the borders are going to be, or is it still a little fluid at this point?
Still a little fluid, yeah. So the larger area, we've not gone back in there and staked it out or tried to lay it out yet. Probably in the next week or two, I think will be the plan. Bring in a crew and kind of do a little bit of a soft clearing to give us a perimeter to walk in there and start kind of laying that out, get a feel for what it looks like.
Okay.
Yep.
Can you remind me, were the renovations to the bathrooms happening yet this year, or was that next year?
Yeah, hopefully, it should all be done this
This
year.
year.
So our goal is to try to accomplish everything this fall, and then next spring, there could be more than likely, some of the landscaping would get finalized in the spring, and then probably the final overlay of the trails. So the trails will get the crushed rock and everything in them this fall, but the actual asphalt overlay would occur next spring, more than likely.
And that's the trail back to the big park,
Yep.
not in the park itself, right?
Exactly, yep. But like all the concrete work that we intend to do, that'll all get done this fall.
Great.
Yep.
It's exciting to hear so much progress already.
Yeah. I think what we'll plan to do just is to continue the community engagement throughout the process. Intend to post some of the photos on Facebook as we're seeing progress, and just kind of make sure we're keeping everybody informed of the progress as we go along.
You've shown yourself to be very photogenic, so I encourage you to continue to
Some more videos?
do some more videos of you advertising everything you can. So you fit well into that role.
All right.
This is great, Marshall. I mean, there's a lot of acceleration going on right now. Things are happening so quickly. I mean, having ordered so many of the fixtures, if you will, of the different things, and then now we have this great new communication vehicle with Kevin out there, so that we can, kind of keep the buzz going, which I think people are going to embrace, because it's happening fast, and it's going to be here before you know it. And I think the city of Chaska is going to be excited about it.
Yeah.
6C, Carver Trails MnDOT LUP update.
All right, so wanted to bring this back to the board. So as we essentially got kind of into the more of the details before we took it to city council, we learned kind of a different set of information from MnDOT, in that essentially the area that we assumed we were working with, that we would be receiving that limited use permit from MnDOT, turns out that some of that land where the trails would be installed on, MnDOT had turned some of it over to Carver County, some of that right away. Looks like in their database it occurred in 2014, but there's just some logistics between different government systems and the recording of that into their systems. And so I'm working now between MnDOT and Carver County to get more clarification on that, and have been in good dialogue with both entities. MnDOT has confirmed that it was turned over, and they're sending over kind of the legal conveyance over to Carver County. And then I've already been in discussions with the traffic engineer over at Carver County. So he's aware of it, and they're very supportive of the project. It's just going to mean we need to get another set of permission, essentially, from Carver County to put trails on that land that was turned over to them. So just a little more coordination, working through this process. So wanted to just make you guys aware of that, because it hasn't gone to city council for their approval as fast as I anticipated. Hopefully it's going to be, wrapped up here within another month, I'm assuming. But the reality is, as you heard from the Carver Trails group, is they're really not in a position to start construction yet anyways, because they're in the midst of their season. But we definitely want to get all of this stuff finalized, so that they can just kind of plan accordingly and be ready to start working on those trails later this fall. Any questions on that project? Okay.
All right. Veterans Park update.
Veterans Park. So I've been attending weekly construction meetings out at that site, and it's been exciting to see the progress. There again, if you haven't had the opportunity to stop over there, I really encourage you to go there and take a look. It's really starting to take shape. As far as the existing pavilion goes, they've added the roof extensions to make a larger area for seating and picnic tables. They've added kind of an extended, say, decking off of that as well. That would be really nice to be able to overlook the lake. Some of the concrete work on the back side of it is in place already, where there'll be a pergola that's going to be installed off the back side of it. The concrete pad where the grill is going to be going is already in. And then as far as the memorial itself, all of the concrete work is all done. And they're now laying all the stonework. Some of the benches are already installed. And then as far as the archery range, the shooting deck is already constructed. So we're in the process of ordering the targets and some of the other components that's going to go along with the archery range. So everything's kind of just moving along. Overall, the project is still a little bit behind just due to the late start we got with the lengthy winter and rather rainy spring to start with. But the goal kind of internally that we're shooting for is to have an opening and target it for Veterans Day in November. And so we think that would be an ideal way to open that park, which based on the discussions with the contractors, that sounds like an attainable goal. Additionally, as part of this whole Veterans Park project, there was a concept that was put in place around challenge coins. And so I'm starting to work a little bit more around that effort, and I've kind of been brought up to speed on what the philosophy was behind it. And essentially, if you're not aware, challenge coins are essentially coins that there's a variety of them out there across military units, and they were intended for commanders to recognize soldiers that have done a good job. But they've also been utilized just to trade amongst people that may visit, or just military members themselves as they're on overseas tours. They may trade these coins. And then this whole concept has also gone out into the civilian world in some locations. Some police and fire units use these coins. And so a lot of military members will literally keep them in their pocket at all time, and that's kind of the way to symbolize their involvement in their specific military branch. And then it's the story goes is that at many VFWs, there's this challenge, kind of a coin check challenge that can be had, in which an individual can call for the coin check challenge, and everybody needs to pull out their coin. And if you don't have the coin on you need to buy the round of drinks. If everybody does indeed have the coins on them, the person that called it would then be responsible for that round of beverages. So anyways, it's my understanding that the task force really wanted to play off of this challenge coin concept and into the design and kind of philosophy of this park. And so within the memorial, there are going to be vertical columns that will display these challenge coins. And there'll be about 116 coins that can be displayed in there. And so we're gonna ultimately be figuring out a way to put some communication out to see who in the community would be interested in having their coin displayed within the memorial. And so we're gonna start lining up meetings with the VFW, the American Legion, Beyond the Yellow Ribbon, to start kind of building out those networks and getting the word out that we're seeking these coins. And we have no idea what the response will be, but we'll kind of have some options prepared in the case that we get too many or too little, and kind of work with what we get from there. And then additionally, another aspect of the park will be this plaque that individuals can walk up to, and the plaque will talk about what these challenge coins are, and there will be an opportunity for people, if they have a coin, to place it on this plaque, and then take a picture, and then we're going to promote that they can share this picture and the story behind it via social media, and then put in hashtag Chaska Challenge Coin. And so from there, people will be able to search all of the stories behind these variety of challenge coins. And so starting to think about some ideas and how we can also then tie in a specific web page within our city's website designated to the Veterans Park. And my hope is that there would be some sort of programming on the back end where it could kind of go out to these social media sites and somehow grab those hashtags and pull them into the website so they'd be collected in one spot. So there's just kind of some ideas that are going around about this whole challenge coin. And then to play off of it too, we also intend to do some sort of a fundraiser as part of this as well. And we're gonna work with the consulting group to design kind of our own coin that would depict the Chaska Veterans Park, and then do some sort of a fundraiser behind those coins. So more information to come as I know more on all of that.
I love that idea of the coins. I'm literally like thinking about ideas here, and my family bought them 2-3 weeks ago. Did Gooseberry Falls, and right, you can get a coin. Costs you like $2.50 or $3 if you buy 5. But yeah, just kind of a cool memento to say, hey, I was there. So kind of a bravo to thinking outside the box of ways money. I think that's kind of a cool idea to raise some money and go with it from there.
Yeah.
Well, I like that it ties into the larger theme, and I have a number of veterans in my life, and I know how important those coins are.
Yep.
And I think being able to potentially tap into that from the community, if you have one sitting in a drawer that was maybe belonged to somebody in your life or something that you're not giving it over to something that the whole community can take part in, I think is a really interesting idea. And then having a fundraiser that ties that all together, I think is very creative.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, and then ideally what we'll do is host work with the veterans in the area and the VFWs and the other organizations to host kind of an annual event where people would have the opportunity to get their coin displayed into the memorial. Just because there's going to be more and more stories over time, and we want people to have the opportunity to have their coin displayed within the memorial.
Very cool.
It seems to me that, this had a lot of potential not just to be for, local veterans, but could be a destination and could, create more meeting opportunities, as you say, for those in the area, and perhaps be, a destination for any veterans from wherever
Yeah.
to take part in something. And so that could be, great stories that could be added to it from veterans from who knows where.
Yep. Yeah, in theory, somebody could take a picture of a coin anywhere in the world and still hashtag it,
Mhm.
Chaska Challenge Coin. You know, so it'd be kind of neat to just promote the stories behind the coins.
Yeah, some great potential there.
Yeah.
I was on the Veterans Park Task Force, and so it's exciting for me to see this come to fruition. And I walk to Fireman's almost every day, so I check on what's going on. And
Yeah.
what I like is I think the parks flow into each other. There's just a, well, it's hard to describe. I don't know how many of you have been up there, but I just think they're, it's almost seamless. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just kind of, the walkway into it just kind of pulls you right in, and, you know, and then to have just the other complementary elements, you know, with the archery range and the playground and the shelter, it's just it's gonna be a really nice park.
All right, 2040 comp plan update.
All right, so as you recall, at our last month's meeting, we had a work session in which Gabrielle with Hoisington came and gave an overview of the comp plan, and we did kind of a SWOT analysis on a variety of components within the our park and rec system. And so just kind of an update on that, you know, been working with her to just continue to organize our chapter within that comprehensive plan, and getting her some more data, essentially, to be able to put into there. She's comparing some of that to some of the national standards through the National Parks and Recreation Association, just from a benchmarking standpoint. Another item that we're identifying in there is, I wished I had a map, it'd be easier for me to describe, but essentially the 2030 comp plan calls for a future regional trail connection that would be along Highway 41. However, in a meeting I was at that had representatives from a variety of the local cities and counties, in which we talk about trail connections and whatnot, we had some discussion with Marty in Carver County, and there is potential to consider moving that, or recommending that regional trail get realigned essentially into our existing ravine system. And so this would be traveling north to south and connecting kind of up towards the Arboretum all the way down to the river. To do that, though, there would be kind of one major connection we would need to make, and that would be at a point where the railroad crosses. And so we would need to essentially figure out a way to get under or over the railroad. So we're making that recommendation. I had that conversation with Marty at Carver County, and we're going to make a formal kind of comment on their draft comprehensive plan as well. And from there, we just hope that would create some discussion at the Met Council level. It's my understanding that should that be of interest, we would then work with Carver County to develop a master plan over the next couple of years, and then apply for federal funding. And that federal funding application would be in another 2 years. And then, should it get approved, the federal funding would then be available 5 years after that. So it's one of those projects where it's a lengthy one, just due to the process involved. Sounds like, though, according to Marty in the Carver County, that it is somewhat common practice that if they know that the funding is going to be coming to them, that some of that construction and planning can get set in motion earlier, but, so more to come on that, and once we get a map, I can kind of show you where that lies, but I think it'd be a really cool option just to utilize that ravine system. I think it has a more of a regional trail feel to it than we could ever create along Highway 41, so. But then this additionally is an update to the 2040 comp plan. We're really at a point where we want some community engagement. And so if you haven't seen, we put out a Facebook post with a link to an online survey. The survey was put together in coordination with Hoisington. It's a pretty quick survey. It's intended to be quick in the hopes that we get more response, trying to respect people's time. But essentially, we're trying to gauge how people rate the current value or the value of the current amenities within our system. And then we've identified a bunch of different options looking ahead into the future and for them to rate kind of what their priority would be for us going forward with new amenities into our system. So that's been posted on our community center Facebook page, the city's web Facebook page, and then both respective websites as well.
And Twitter.
And Twitter. We're working on sending it out through an email listserv within our Park and Recreation database. And then it's also our intent to inform people about it at the Touch a Truck event on Thursday. So it's my
What's the time frame that you're gonna leave that survey open, do you know?
about 2 to 3 weeks. Yep. We literally just posted it on the community center Facebook, I think last week Thursday, and I got an update from Hoisington this morning that I think 75 people or so have already
I think I got an
responded,
email
so-
today.
Great.
Did
I
I?
think
good.
it did come out today,
Yeah, good,
and it was on Twitter today.
good to see. All right. So that will be something I think we'll talk about more at our next month's meeting. Should have that feedback back from Hoisington on the survey, and we'll just have more discussion as a board on how to kind of wrap that up in terms of the draft that we want to submit to the city council. So,
Sort of a side question on that one. During that working session, we had a few different maps that were out, and there was sort of a side discussion about how you can't find like one current map of all the Chaska parks because, and I think it's just because there's been a lot of updates lately. But is there an effort underway to make sure that we have a up-to-date map that has like the new parks that are being built and the new names on the parks and that sort of stuff?
yes, that is
Probably
occurring kind
always
of
something that we
behind
wanna
the
do. Yeah.
scenes. Yeah, it's always kind of
Yeah.
progressing, and I know actually working with Kevin, and the goal will be working with GIS on the city's webpage to create an interactive
Oh, cool.
map of all of our parks and amenities within Chaska as well.
Cool.
So I think inherently throughout that process, it'll clean things up as well.
Yeah.
As we put more focus on it.
Cool. Thank you.
Yep.
I would just say, we know that the millions of people watching, I would really encourage that they do the survey, right? Civic engagement's awesome.
Yep.
You know, we don't know as a group here what the future holds and what people want, and that's feedback. That's one place that helps us and helps cities and future elected officials and administrators make those decisions. And, you know, I look at the number 2040, looks like a made-up date. But it'll happen, and we gotta understand what people use, because that changes over time. So I really encourage people to make sure they participate.
Yep. Yeah, me personally, I value community feedback. I think that's ultimately, you know, what we're here for, and, you know, their voice and their opinion is ultimately, you know, what we need to take into account with how we're going to plan for the future. So take the survey.
Anything else? All right, agenda item 7 is other business, 7A is director's update.
All right, so per usual, just like to highlight some of the things that were submitted in the department happenings from the staff and the variety of things that are going on in our department. So with that, would just like to commend the staff for just a awesome job with the Fire and Ice Festival that occurred last July 20 through 22. As we heard from Jeff earlier, just a great bonspiel throughout the weekend. It was great to see, 48 teams come together and compete, and seeing the teams from out of state, and then to have all of the additional activity out in the park. It was just a great community gathering. Friday night, we had a little bit of, what would I say, adventure with rain and thunderstorms that came through right before the band came on, but it went through pretty quick, and people ducked into the Curling and Event Center for just a short amount of time and came back out, and it actually turned out to be just a really nice evening the remainder of the night. But then Saturday really was the big hit. I think we estimated about 3,000 people came through and were there for the evening entertainment and all of the family activities throughout the day. So it was the third year that this event has been offered, and so I think just the progression of the previous two, it's just getting more and more recognized, and I just look forward to this being another great community event that we host every year.
Question on that, has there ever been conversation about moving the timing of that? Because I continue to hear, it's a great event, and I love it, but it's the next following week is River City Days, right? And there's continue this, city-sponsored volunteer organization struggle, and I'm just curious, it landed there, it's been there for 3 years, if there's ever been conversation about moving it, because you really want two great events.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want them to necessarily, they are in different weeks, but there's only so many weekends in the Minnesota summer, so
Yeah.
I'm just curious if there's ever been conversation of moving it earlier or later. Obviously, River City's Days has their day locked in historically, but just was curious.
Yeah, and I don't know all of the history as to when it first got planned the first year, but I know that some of it was based on availability of the facility, because literally weddings get booked out over a year in advance. Additionally, there's kind of an opportune timing between leagues as well, and when we take the ice out and things like that. So those are two of the big factors that play into the timing of that event.
Okay.
As far as some other things that took place, last month they had a couple really good active older adult events. There was the All-American Pie Social that was hosted on Wednesday, July 11th, which turned out to be a great night. And then additionally, on August 2nd, there was the annual picnic that was held at Lions Park. Approximately 300 people were at that picnic, and the majority of the Park and Rec staff were there that evening, serving them their meals, and there was some entertainment there, so that was just a great event held at the park. If you haven't seen already, but the new fall activities guide is out. Registration is now open for non-members as well as of today. And a couple things that I would just like to point out new within this activities guide is some new adaptive programming that we're implementing. And so Coming up this Wednesday and next Wednesday, there's going to be an open house from 4 to 6 p.m. in our upper gym. And this will be an opportunity for people to learn about the adaptive programming and meet the adaptive instructor that's going to be teaching the programming. And then that program will actually take place in the fall. There will be a session held on Wednesday evenings and then another session that'll be held on Saturdays. So those will be register for programs that will be led by an instructor. And then additionally, we've carved out some adaptive open gym time just for the community to have access to the gym on Friday nights. And so this is just a drop-in opportunity for those that have maybe a special need. And it's going to be from 2:30 to 7 on Fridays, which will allow CPAs to bring kids over after school, and or if parents want to come back after work or after dinner, there'd still be time yet in that evening to do it as a family. So looking forward to providing those opportunities. And then additionally, you'll see in there within our open gym programming, we're expanding upon open gym pickleball hours. So pickleball will now be available Monday through Friday, early mornings at the community center. This coming Friday, we're going to be having a Zumba party in the park. That's going to take place at Fireman's Park from 6 to 7, and that's to highlight one of the new instructors on our staff, Maria, that has joined our team. So inviting people out to experience some Zumba in the park. And then the next movie in the park that's free to the community is going to be held on Friday, August 24th. That's going to be at City Square Park. And that is we are going to be showing the movie Cars 3, and that'll begin at dusk. Good movie there. And then lastly, just want to highlight the Touch a Truck event coming up this Thursday. It's an opportunity for the community to come over to the community center. Out in the parking lot, on display will be the variety of vehicles and large equipment that the city has throughout the variety of departments for kids to have fun and explore. There's going to be a carnival and music and you name it. It's just an exciting event, and I know many of you have already volunteered to help out with that event, so we appreciate that. And if there's still opportunity, if you haven't, to join in on the fun. But it's my understanding it's the 15th year we're hosting it, and it's a very popular event. So it's my first time experiencing it, so I'm looking forward to seeing everybody out there, and we intend to make people aware of the Comp 40 2040 Comprehensive Plan Survey that's available too.
Marshall, I got to say it because I say it every year, that Touch a Truck is the happiest day in Chaska.
The happiest day.
Awesome. So much fun.
And we'll be serving a lot of hot dogs, and we've got the drill down.
All right.
I would encourage any people who haven't served, including yourself, maybe go buy a stack of napkins and get really good at separating them fast.
Okay.
Or make sure they're pre-sliced hot dog buns. I would shut us down. And just start working with the finger dexterity. It's all about finger dexterity because it is.
How many
You don't want to cramp up.
How many hot dogs did we go through, do you know?
Oh, we've.
Oh, my Lord.
800 last year?
1,500 hot dogs. All right.
There's moments where people are saying hi to you, and you're like, hi, and then because you're just like head down and just constant line, and then you catch up and you look, and there's tons of people.
Yeah, production team can't handle those kinds of hiccups. You
It's
can't be
true.
looking up.
It's true.
No time for socializing.
Hi, like you don't want to be rude.
Friendly, just be efficient, you know?
Exactly.
Well, then they come through for seconds. I mean, it's
That's
not
right.
usual
And
toward
third.
the
And,
end for people to
and you
come
know,
for seconds.
that's fine. We
It's
are.
their first year serving. Maybe I can just be on napkins.
That,
that could
if it's
just
a
be-
windy day, that can make or break.
Totally, I'm just saying, it can start me small, right?
But it's a great event, and the number of people that want to like offer to pay, like, well, how much does it cost? And you tell them it's free, and they're just like, there's nothing free in life, right? You know, it's just a great, you can get the whole meal, you get the ice cream, you got the beverage, you know, and your kids have a good time of it. So
Yeah,
I can't
and the
wait.
kids and the parents, they just flood to the area. I mean, it starts at 5, they're there at 5.
Yep,
Yeah, and, yeah, it's awesome.
yeah,
awesome
5 to
event.
7:30, so.
Yeah.
A lot of staff are working hard behind the scenes, but it's coming together, and we're looking forward to it.
It's amazing how quickly it comes together, because it's, all of a sudden, all the equipment and all the vehicles are there, and then when it's over, by the time the sun's down, you can't tell there was an event there at all. Yeah, it's just.
And
it's
even
really-
bad weather doesn't stop the enthusiasm. I mean, we've had some rainy times when people still come out.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's just a great way to display everything that the city does across all
No,
of
you're
our
gonna love
departments.
it, Marshall. It's really cool.
Do you know if they're
Cool.
doing bike helmets again this year? For like the $10 bike helmets? Anybody know?
Yeah, that's the PD, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure on
Okay.
that one.
I think that's always a really nice part of it too, that, the families can get a bike helmet and get it fitted for like $10.
Mm.
It's a really great, really cost-effective way to make sure that your kids not only got a helmet, but that it's fitted properly.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's one of the things that always really impresses me at the event, and I think they're there, I don't remember if they were there last year or not, but I think it's been an annual thing. I know you guys were too busy serving hot dogs to notice, but trust me, it's a very nice, very nice feature of the event.
Can't wait.
Kind of the last thing I would add is, in preparation of next month's meeting, it turns out that our meeting will be the same night as the city council meeting due to the Labor Day holiday on Monday. So with that, the city council will have the chambers that evening, and so more information to come, but we'll just plan on doing a work session that evening.
Okay.
And my thought was we could take the Park and Recreation bus and tour some of these sites that we've talked about tonight, so you guys can see them, and then stop at a park and maybe hang out at one of the shelters and talk some more about the 2040 comprehensive plan.
This might be a completely terrible idea, but could Kevin come with us and then live stream, Facebook live stream our tour? That'd be kind of cool. As a possible idea, right? And we know you're not shy in front of the camera. You could tell, maybe it would be kind of cool, because there's people like who don't go on that tour that don't know about parks. So just
Yeah.
throwing it out there as a crazy idea, but
Yep.
I
Be
think it's a
interesting.
crazy idea.
I didn't say you had to be on camera. I just
I
struck
get
it towards
enough
the
camera
park.
time.
So dress for a park tour, potentially.
Yeah.
I like that.
Wear your wellies.
All right, is that all of 7A?
That is it.
Which brings us to agenda item 8, round table. And a reminder, round table basically means we go around a half a round table and share any comments, concerns, questions, or anything we want to talk about. So we'll actually start at this end with Commissioner Flaherty Wilcox.
Ooh, nothing for me.
Yeah, nothing for me.
Only that I think it's been an incredibly successful summer. You look at the Bonspiel, you look at the attendance, the teams for the curling center stats that he did in comparison to other curling centers around the state is just astounding. I just think it's, and the dog park got approved. It's a great summer. So just, kudos, I think.
I just had a question on, we had a conversation many months kind of before the dog park stuff, talking about agenda items and not printing and looking at maybe use of technology. Is that further along your conversation of kind of delivery of content? Has that gone anywhere? I'm not itching for it by any means, I'm just curious. We talked about like iPads potentially.
Yeah.
So we could be less paper shuffle potentially. Just curious if anything more has come of that.
I haven't heard anything more. I know that the thought was for city council and the planning commission, since their agendas are typically a little more robust and involve many more attachments, to get them up and running with that technology first. And then we're going to make that determination if it made sense for the park board to move in that direction as well. But I can look into that further.
Just curious.
Yep.
That's all I had.
Me?
You.
Okay. It was a pleasure to attend the city council meeting here a few weeks back where they had the proclamation for Nick Mason and to recognize him, for his well-deserved service to the Parks Board and to our community. And the city council did a really nice job of recognizing him, and the proclamation that was written, I thought was very well done as well. So it was a fitting night, and Nick was given an opportunity to speak, which he took full advantage of, which he usually would. And but although he's not going to be continuing on the board for his health reasons, he's still quite engaged, and meeting with him in the hallway outside afterwards, he is still very tuned in and cares a great deal, and it's still kind of a tribute to what a great contributor he was to this commission and the city of Chaska.
I haven't got anything to add.
The only thing I had was, I just want to thank the people who, when they go on their walks, take along a bag and pick up garbage. I'm noticing when I walk on different trails, different people who do that, and I think that's just such a public service. We just can't expect Brian and his fabulous crew to do all that, and it's a personal responsibility. So for those people who are littering, I don't care what age you are, there's no excuse for that. We've got these beautiful parks and trails, and we just all have a responsibility to make them look as pristine as possible. So thank you, those of you who do that.
Awesome.